AITAH for telling my daughter it's none of her business who I decide to date and to mind her own business. My ex-wife and I finalized our divorce proceedings last year after her one-night stand. The one-night stand really hurt me, and it made me really sad and angry. My ex-wife did apologize a lot and was willing to do anything I asked, but I lost all emotions for her. She really wanted reconciliation, and I will admit I did reconsider reconciliation for a moment, but I ultimately decided I couldn't do it. My ex-wife and I, however, did keep the divorce amicable for the sake of our daughters, who are 13 and 15. But the divorce did affect our daughters a lot. After the divorce was finalized, I wasn't in any mood to have a relationship, but I did want to hook up and kind of become wild. The divorce proceedings took a year, and in that time I did spend a lot of time in the gym and on physical fitness, and by the time the divorce was finalized, I was the fittest I have ever been in my life. And I have had some success on dating apps. I invite the dates over to my house when my daughters are away at their mom's. We spend the night just relaxing, cooking dinner, watching movies. We do the deed, and then they leave the next morning. However, what I forgot when I first bought someone over was that my older daughter had the Ring app installed on her phone, and so she could see who I invited in. And I hadn't turned off the Ring camera when I invited my date in. My older daughter confronted me after seeing that I had invited someone into our house, and she said she wasn't comfortable with it. I tried to be understanding, but my daughter was being really confrontational, and she said it was disrespectful to her mom. That's when I finally put my foot down and told her it's none of her business who I decide to date or bring over when she's not in the house. I also removed my daughter's email from the Ring account, so she can no longer view the Ring camera. AITAH. AITA for not sending enough essentials with my kids for their half-siblings. I, 33 male, shared 50-50 custody of my children, 11 male, 10 female, and 8 male, with my ex-wife. My ex is remarried and has an additional 2 children under the age of 3 with her husband. They are struggling financially. They cannot afford to meet the needs of the children. The courts are aware of this and will not give me full custody. Instead, they are encouraged to seek resources, and I am encouraged to ensure my kids are taken care of all the time, even if not in my custody. Because of this, I send my kids with certain essentials like easy foods to eat and a few extra clothes and toiletries. My ex has asked me to send them with formula, diapers, or toddler-friendly foods before, and I ignore her. I only make sure my kids have those things. I know she and her husband get a lot of help to provide better, and I do not feel like it should be on me to make sure their 2 kids are taken care of. But my ex had a fit over Christmas about our kids getting nice gifts and going to her house with food she and her husband couldn't provide. And she told me I was being a dick and petty with children who never harmed me in any way. I told her the job is hers and her husband's to ensure they are taken care of. She told me I can afford it. I could do it and be kind and make sure our kids don't see their half-siblings as lesser because they don't get as much. I told my ex she had some nerve expecting me to fix her mistakes, and this only pissed her off more. But her financial situation was never the best, and she decided to grow her family anyway. That wasn't a decision I had any say or part of. AITA for not doing more for the other 2 children. AITA for telling a pregnant woman she shouldn't park in a handicap spot. So today is the 2nd day in a row that I noticed this neighbor of ours parking in the handicap spot at the daycare we take our children to. Her husband went in to drop off their daughter, and I saw the mother sitting in their Range Rover in the handicap spot doing her makeup. I stood in front of their vehicle until she acknowledged me and then pointed at the sign which clearly indicated that it is a handicap spot. She opened up the door and said, "I'm 7 months pregnant," in a very confident and authoritative thick English accent, and then closed the door and proceeded to continue putting on her makeup. Keep in mind that she wasn't driving today. She was yesterday. It was her husband that was driving her. I then knocked on her door. She opened the window, and I told her that being pregnant doesn't qualify as being handicapped, and she inexplicably said thanks a few times. For those of you that might be wondering why I care, I know plenty of people that are handicapped, and my aunt is handicapped, and it is not an easy life whatsoever. So imagine if you're someone that struggled to get in and out of your vehicle, or even needs to get your own wheelchair out of your own vehicle. Now imagine needing to go somewhere, and all of the handicapped spots are taken by entitled clowns that have no right being in these spots. I see this all the time in my city, but it hits a bit different when it's a neighbor of ours and they're doing it so often. So AITA here, please downvote this post if you think I am. I really couldn't care less about the fake internet points. I'll take the downvotes as the consensus that I'm the true asshole in the wrong here, not entitled people like her. AITA for canceling my trip home due to COVID risk? My husband, 3-year-old daughter and I were supposed to drive to Cleveland on Sunday to spend the holidays with my parents and 2 brothers. All 3 of us siblings are coming in from multiple states away. 2 days ago, my mom told us she had COVID. Yesterday and today, I FaceTimed my parents to check in on her, only to find them, both times, sitting next to each other in the living room, 3 feet apart, no mask, mom coughing and blowing her nose all over the place. I asked why they weren't even attempting to isolate from one another and having my mom stay out of the common areas of the house, and they just shrugged and said, "Your dad probably won't get it." I told them Dad inevitably will get it and will likely start showing symptoms and be most contagious exactly when my family and I show up. So I told them we're no longer coming. I specified that if they had at least kept Mom isolated upstairs, we still would have come. But if they weren't going to put any effort into preventing the rest of us from getting sick, then they must not really care if we come or not. They are both now very angry, particularly as my daughter is the only grandchild. AITAH for refusing to change in the bathroom. Now, I might sound like a jerk, but hear me out. I'm not trans or anything. I'm fully female. I'm 17 now, but when I was 16, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had 2 tumors. One was non-cancerous, and the other was cancerous. The doctors decided to perform a double mastectomy, meaning they removed all of my breast tissue. This was by far the worst thing that has ever happened to me. I still sometimes cry because my breasts were my favorite part of my body. I loved them, but now they're gone. I know it might sound silly, especially if you're a man, but it's really hard for me. To feel better about myself, I decided to join the girls' flag football team. One day I was getting changed in the locker room. Because of the surgery, I have massive scars, and they don't look great. I hate changing in the bathroom because it makes me feel different, and I just want to feel normal like everyone else. There was a girl about 14 years old who started making a bunch of comments about how scary the scars looked and asking, why isn't she changing in the bathroom? I just ignored her because I didn't want to change in the bathroom. I wanted to feel like everyone else. But then more girls joined in, saying how uncomfortable they felt seeing my scars and how it was inappropriate for various reasons. That was on the first day. On the second day, I got the same comments. By the third day, my coach pulled me aside and told me I should change in the bathroom to make everyone else comfortable. I started crying and told my coach I didn't want to do that because I joined the team to feel normal, but instead I'm being made to feel different. I didn't know what else to do, so I just gave in and started changing in the bathroom. I really don't want to change in the bathroom. I'm so tired of feeling different. AITA for not going home for Christmas? My 34 of whole life, I've spent Christmas with my folks and my brothers. Living in the same town, driving over was no issue. Cut to now, I am living 11 hours away. Funny thing is, my parents also live in my town, but they still drive to my brother's 37M house for Christmas 11 hours away because he has kids. My husband and I do not. My parents now expect us to make the drive down to be there for the day, even though I made my stand after moving last year, that I'll be home on Christmas. I'm not traveling for Christmas. It sounds like an absolute nightmare, and we really can't afford it anyway. There was more attempts at persuasion and guilt tripping from my dad this year. I said to my mom, why not stay here for Christmas? She just scoffed like that was preposterous and said she will always go. They say the kids are only young once, but they're not my kids. I love them, and I always give them a gift. But it's not my responsibility to make their holidays magical. Just because I don't have children doesn't mean my family is invalid and deserving of enjoying the holiday in the comfort of our home with our pets, where we worked so hard to be. I think my parents should start switching off where to spend the holiday, instead of my brother's house being the default. For context, my brother is the golden child and living in my parents' first house rent-free, and being there is pretty unpleasant for me. I don't have a relationship with him or his wife outside of being cordial, just to have a relationship with my nieces and nephews. They visit my parents in the summers, so I get to see the kids every year. When they're in town, the kids come to my house, but my brother and his wife do not make any effort to see us. AITAH. AITAH for not wanting another dog? For context, my family have 3 dogs, 2 of which don't like other dogs and another who is a puppy. My brother over the past few months has taken in a dog, which was a spur-of-the-moment situation, and he had realized was not a good idea after seeing how the dog reacts towards cats. He has 2 cats, and his wife isn't keen on helping. As a result, my mother, who I live with, has agreed to take the dog in. My other 2 dogs haven't taken well to this, and my mother has been locking them out, meaning they don't have access to the backyard and have limited food and water. Downstairs has an automatic one. I've given it around a week, and there's been no improvements. They're still scared and defensive around the new dog. So I told my mother, as she doesn't take care of the dogs or pay for them, that the dog has to go back to my brother, or we have to find the dog a new home. My brother has agreed he will have the dog 3 nights a week, and for the rest we will have him. I am still disagreeing with this, and the treatment my other dogs are getting due to this has shocked and left me appalled. I understand he cannot have the dogs due to his cats. However, we did not agree to a dog. He did. I'm unsure if I'm being unfair because both my mother and brother are against my suggestion of finding a new home for him.